The mute. Hello, can you hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Am I really loud? Really loud. I don't want to yell into the speaker because I might have to yell it to. Okay. Just. Okay, because I got to be able to say it loud enough for them to hear it the same way. Yeah. Can you hear me good if I just hold it down in front? Okay, good. Okay, good evening, everyone. So welcome to Candidates Night 2015. I'm just going to go quickly over the format of what we're doing. We do have a speaker system, but it's accessible only to the live feeds, and we don't have a speaker system. So if you can speak as clear and as loud as you can, that would be helpful. But it will be picked up for the live feed that's going out. And right now we're having some technical difficulties. It's being streamed live on the web at pickriver.com, but it's not on the community channel. So for those who are watching on the live feed right now, we will be airing this portion again on the community channel at a different time, and we will post those. So to date, now we have 29 members running for council. It's good to see about at least half of them here tonight. And again, the session here is to kind of give you a voice and give the voting public something to hear of where you stand as a political leader. Again, the format hasn't changed in recent years, so those who have been through this process kind of understand where it's coming from. If you can't hear, just let us know. We could speak a little bit louder. I will be reading the questions off. You will be picking the questions out of the bag. Again, the questions were screened and so that there was no personal attacks on any people running for council. They were questions submitted either in previous years, past years, or collection of staff questions, and then submissions from people via email. So we'll select the candidate by draw from here. So all your names of all the people running have already been put into the draw, and then we'll select from there. And then once you're selected, you'll come up. You'll have 3 minutes to do a platform speech, whatever you have prepared prior, and then you'll have 2 minutes after we ask you, you pick a question, and then you'll answer the question. You'll have 2 minutes after. And there doesn't seem to be a large group tonight, so, and again, time permitting, if you want to answer a second question after we've gone through the cycle of all the council, of all the nominees, then you can answer a second question as well. In the interest of time, we ask that you please stick to the time limits. We do have a buzzer thing, and it's really loud, so it will go off. I will show this sign to you that will signify 30 seconds left, so kind of wrap up what you're going to say. A lot of that kind of throws people off if they're talking and all of a sudden the buzzer goes off, so this is just kind of a warning sign. And again, speak as loud as you can. The speaker systems are set up for the live feed, but it's not really kind of catering to the audience. We're still kind of working on the technical stuff of doing the speaker and the live feed speaker stuff. So I will have the mic here, and they can hear me at home or wherever they're watching in the world, and they can also pick up over here as well. So I guess we can get started. Just 1 second, we had one more person come in. So the first person to go up is Deanna Starr. Yeah, if you can do a little test to see if he can hear you, that'd be good.
Hello?
You good? Good to go? Okay, so you're going to do your platform first?
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Deanna Starr. I wasn't expecting to go first. I just finished telling Rob, if I don't go first, I'll be okay. So my name is Deanna Starr. I'm running for council for Pick River this year. I chose to run because I truly believe that great leadership is what makes a successful community. And I feel that as a mother of 2 young children, an avid community member, I have a strong business management and human resource history. I've been able to work within the community. I've been able to participate in a lot of community events. I've been a volunteer. I'm a volunteer firefighter and emergency first response. So I've been here. I've been a community member, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that leadership. I feel that we need some younger people to sit on council. We need some younger people to be the voice of Pick River, to be able to learn the ways, to be able to be taught, so that we can continue on with the great leadership that happens in Pick River. So that's one of the main reasons why I chose to run this year. And I believe I have a voice. I believe I have a lot of great attributes that I can contribute to Pick River. So I just want to be able to have that opportunity to give that. So with that being said, it would be a great honor for you to vote for me for this year's election. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. And now you can pick a question, and I will.
Hope I get an easy one so I can go first.
Let's hope so. Yes. Okay, your question is, and you'll get 2 minutes to answer. Okay. Recently, we've been seeing benefits from our current development projects. Where do you think this revenue is best served and why? If you want, you can
I?
take that.
I guess in terms of revenue, I think we were always saying that children are our future. So I think our revenue would be best served in our education, in our children, in our language development. And I see a lot of great things happening with teachers and community members teaching the children the traditional ways and using our traditional land in terms of the hunting, the moose camps, and our language revitalization. It was actually really interesting today to see an article. I shared it on Facebook earlier, but in Kenora, they're having they opened their very first full Ojibwe immersion school. So from kindergarten to grade 2, that's all that's taught. I just thought that was a really great thing, and it's something that our community can strive towards reaching and bringing back all of that that culture and that tradition to our children, and to see them grow and to see them flourish as great community members, because they're our future. So I think that would be one of the main things, and to continue forward with our constitution and our land claim to ensure that we have assurance that we have that for our children. So thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. Next up, we have Melissa Desmolin.
Hello. Is it good? Yeah. Okay. Abujo, Wapski and Imki, Benese, Quain, Dishnikas, Bigetta Gong Donji, Misquados and Dodam. And I think my name is Melissa Desmolin, and it's important for me to acknowledge my spirit name and to acknowledge where I come from. I'm an off-reserve member, and it's important to say that I come from Bigetagong. And it's important for me to say that because even though I live in Marathon, Bigetagong is my community. And I always say that. And if you ask my children where they're from, they'll always say the same thing. You know, whether my daughter goes to school in Ottawa or my daughter Alyssa lives in Marathon, she'll always say Bigetagong is where she's from. And she'll say it in her language as well. What I have to bring to, I'm running for council as well, and what I have to bring is I have both college and university education. I have over 25 years experience in the mental health and addiction field in various capacities. And I've been working in, as a family support worker in our community for many years. I was a mental health and addiction worker in Pick Mobert. I worked with Delico Child and Family Services as a case manager. So I've worked within our communities, and I've seen a lot of the trials that our community has faced in terms of, you know, what our youth have faced within alcohol and drugs, the crime, the violence, probation, parole, all of those things. I've worked within the Dobbin Healing Lodge. I have over 25 years of volunteer experience within boards of sitting on different boards of directors, including the Dobbin Healing Lodge, the Indian Friendship Center in Thunder Bay, the police, the Anishinaabeg Police, Weejiwaganasik, when they started to come. And so I bring with me, I think, a wide variety of experience and knowledge. And I think that leadership comes, you need to have experience and you need to have a broad sense. And you also, what I want to bring is to bridge that gap, because I think there's a misconnection with the people that live off reserve, and there's okay, just saying that there's a gap that's happening with the people that live off reserve, and we need to start building that gap and bringing our people that live off reserve to bring them home, because they need to be, they belong here just as much as I belong here. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Okay. So Melissa, your question is, what would be your strategies for increasing youth participation with council?
I think there's been many things over the years that, in my experience in terms of working with youth, that I've used in terms of building strategies. You know, we've tried to build youth councils, and I think you need to continue. And I think youth empowerment. You have to continue to build our youth and to build their spirit and to keep building their spirits no matter what. And I think as long as you continue to build and to empower them through sports, through leadership programs, through just involvement, and just continue to involve them and to bring them on board. We have the Constitution, and to bring them on board, we're going to be needing a lot of support in the next little while as long as that act goes through, and to bring them on board, make them feel a part of that, and make them feel empowered. Because, you know, we had a family meeting at my house last night, and the elders, as they were talking, they go, we were talking, how long will it take? And they go, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years. And they go, what's going to happen? And they were saying, we're going to be 80 years old. We need to start getting younger people involved. And our youth is the one that we need to really get involved, because they are the ones that are going to make this stuff happen. So I think, if we empower our youth to get them involved with this program, with this law, then they're the ones that are going to make it happen. So it's just empowering them and building them up. So I think as we bring them, that's what's going to make it work. Miigwech.
Thank you, Melissa. Next up on... Simone Desmoulins.
Ha bojo, Yaushko Piscacanash and Unquadish Nakaz, Gadudo Dame, Wendigo Conspirat, Buffalo Gitchata. My English name is Simone Desmoulins. And first I'd like to acknowledge the people that nominated me for chief. I thank you for that nomination. I continue to decline that offer because I feel I have a lot more to learn as a council member. Running for council, I bring a strong skill set of leadership. I've been in the field for 30-some years and was recently recognized by the Ministry of Community and Social Services for my leadership in the field of healing at Badabin. As a result of the experiences that I've had on council, I am a strong supporter of our Biigtigong Anishinaabe Chinakagewin. I believe that if we are going to move forward as a sovereign nation, we need to take ownership and responsibility for our own laws, our own policies that govern our people. When I run for council, I don't think of this generation. I think of the generations to come, because the decisions that we make today affect not only us, but those 7 generations moving forward. I feel that it's important to continue working towards self-government, to continue working and trying to engage our community. I've always been a strong proponent of engaging the community when we make decisions at the council table. I continue to work on portfolios that are confidential, so there's a lot of times that I can't discuss the issues that I sit with. Some of those portfolios are child welfare, negotiations with ministry proponents where we're governed by the Privacy Act and inter-trading secrets that we're not allowed to speak about what we talk about. I do provide a strong voice at the table. I'm not afraid to question and challenge things that I feel strongly about. I have a lot of integrity, and one of the things that you'll get from me as a council member is always honesty. I don't come from a place of lies. And I'll continue to run for council as long as I have the passion. I feel that if we don't have the passion to look at the needs of our people, then we're useless as a council. So with that, I ask for your continued support, vote, and I look forward, if I get in, to continue to serve the community. So miigwech.
Okay, Simone. Your question is, the comprehensive land claim has always been a major political push. What are your opinions on the land claim as it stands?
My opinion on the land claim as it stands is that we have a strong case to proceed and win. We never signed a treaty, and all of our evidence moving forward demonstrates that we've never been a party to the land claim, the Robinson Superior Treaty. The historical reports that have come through support that, and I've always sat as part of a member of that committee with the land claim since I came on council. I think we need to continue moving forward. Yes, it's a big expense, but the benefits to this community when we go through the court process would be greater. And then that also supports the need for continued constitutions of our own, laws and regulations that govern how we're going to spend that money, should it come in, what benefits we're going to negotiate with government in terms of the benefits back to the community. So I really have a strong political view that we need to continue with that land claim. And we do have a set court date coming in the fall of 2017. So moving forward, I think it needs to continue to happen. It needs strong political support from our council as well as community. And that we'll continue to engage community when we move forward in terms of consultation. So, miigwech.
Thank you, Simone. Next up, we have Arnold Michano.
How bonjour. Bonjour Kinawe Shinigan Megisik Migun Ninam Dejnakas Wazam Wako Gichita Shema Kog Dodem. Hi, I just want to thank Shannon Kershane and Sam Kershane for nominating me to run as council. I don't see them here, but I'm sure they're listening at home. But anyways, my name is Arnold Michano, and I'm running for the position of councillor in our upcoming elections. I am a proud member of Pic River First Nation and of the Nishnabeg Nation. I have served the membership for many years in the position of a councillor. I believe I have conducted myself in a manner that is in the best interest of our people and of our future generations. During my time as councillor, I have served on many portfolios, and I feel I have gained valuable knowledge and experience that I can use to continue promoting the goals and objectives of our community. During election time, I hear talk about change. Change is good. Constant change is what we are about. We are about growth and development. Together we can embrace change and continue to move our community towards a vision of self-sufficiency, or of self-determination, of independence and cultural pride. However, we also must ensure our vision is based on who we are as Anishinaabe people, as people of the Pic River First Nation. We have a vibrant history, cultural practices, and traditional ways that must remain the foundations of our society. Everything we do needs to center on who we are as people, and we will define that. And here are some of the priorities that I feel that we must continue working on. Economic development, education and training, our land claim, governance and jurisdiction, culture and language, health and social services, being a community, Pic River would not be where it is today with our community members. Our successes have been based on factors. One important one has been the strong voice of our people. Our people stand up, express themselves, and work towards their goals. We are very fortunate that we can work together. Our community spirit is high. This is our greatest advantage. As a member of council, I will continue to work on the priorities of our nation as determined by our people. We are a family. We are... You can wrap it up. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask for your support. I'm asking for your support on Election Day. I believe we as a community has experienced physical, emotional, spiritual, and intellectual changes. We have a vision, and together I believe we will achieve our goals as long as we are together. We are Pic River, or we are Biktagon Nishnabeg. We are Nishnabeg, we have choices. I want to wish the candidates good luck in the upcoming elections. I am very proud to look at our list of candidates. We have a lot of good people who will bring their skills and knowledge to help us become self-governing, economically self-sufficient people. We will achieve our vision together as a community. Miigwech, thank you.
Miigwech. Everyone wants the easy question, eh? Okay, his question is, the Ojibways of the Pick River First Nation is legally changing back to their original name, Bukittikon Anishinaabe. What is your opinion of this change? Oh, you can just talk into that one.
I guess my opinion on this name change is it's important to us because we are going to be defining ourselves rather than the Indian Act. The Indian Act have gave us a name what call us Pick River First Nation, and that Bukittikon Anishinaabe, it's a name that our elders gave us many years ago, probably about 30, 40 years ago. My grandfathers and my grandmothers, they gave us that name. So I think that is very, very important that we do this name change, because it'll help us identify who we are. And what that Bukittikon Anishinaabe means, Bukittikon means where the river is turbulent, and the sides of the shores wash down. And you notice that with all the I guess our river's all full of silt, and that's the cause of it. What did I say? After Miigwech, and thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. The next one to come up is Jonathan Fisher.
Oh, bonjour. My name is Jonathan Fisher. I guess I've lived here in Pick River all my life, except maybe a few years going to school. But I chose to live here because I love this community. That's where I'm from. I could have lived in Marathon, but I decided to get a house here. You know, this is where I'm from when I want to live here. People have always asked me, how come you don't run for council? Because I work for Pick River. And through Pick River, I have to I have to go to work, but I can't go to work because there's a conflict of interest. That is something I want to change. You know, I could see that being something in a larger community, but for such a small community, there's always going to be conflict of interest somewhere. You know, and then that's when you got to take your heart out of it and go with logic, and you got to use your brain. You know, just think logically. Well, as for running, I'd like to thank Aaron and Tammy Shaw for nominating me. Just to let you know that I will be the voice for you. I won't back down. If something doesn't click, I'll always ask questions. Just to make sure that that we're going in the right direction. We're going where we as a community want to go. You know, I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy, but I think logically. I don't think emotionally. You know, I always think what's best. Well, moving forward. Where's it going to get us? How are we going to get there? Thank you.
Okay. Your question is, how will you manage effective public relations with Pick River First Nation membership?
All you can do is educate. Let people know. You know, keep talking. You know, you keep talking. First, you get through to one person. That's good. You keep going, get through to the next. Next thing you know, you're going to get through to 100 people. Thing is, you got to keep going, keep going. You can't back down. You know, you can't be disheartened. Like tonight, half the people here are candidates. You know, sometimes you got to have to offer TV to get people here. But even through that, you got to keep going. You got to keep going through. You got to keep educating. You know, get it out. You know, Facebook. You know, signs across on the community. You know, word of mouth. Like the more you talk to people, the more it gets out there. You know, pass along the word. You know, like I would say, like ever since I've been nominated, I've been telling people, you know, yes, I'm nominated. Yes, I'd like you to vote for me, but that's your choice. You know, at least vote. At least vote. And if you're not voting, then you're not getting your say. If you don't vote, you're quiet. And if you're quiet, you're not communicating. Right? So communication, education, get the word out. Spread the word.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next up, we have Arthur Fisher.
Okay, bonjour, Kenewe Tabijay Kwande. I want to welcome everybody for coming and support the nomination form we have here. My name is Arthur Fisher, as everybody know. I'm an elder in the community. I've did a lot of work for the community for the last 50 years. I've been on council. I've been everywhere. So I got a good background of what's going on in our community. And the reason why I think I should run there again is I think we got to move forward in a direction to progress our reserve to a better standard of living as we're moving along. And by that I mean we have to work together, get our community leaders and what do you call staff manager and all that to work together and start working on some projects to get a better life in here, like dealing with drugs and alcohol. I think that's a big key one. I think we have to focus on that more often. That's something we really have to focus on. And also the taking care of, because it's not because I'm getting old, but I think we have to take care of our elders a little better than we're doing today. But by that I mean giving more support to the elders, supporting them at home, and doing their stuff at home, that kind of stuff. We have to do those kind of things. And also as a community, we have to govern ourselves in a way that we're not being controlled by the Indian Act. And the only way to do that is to have your own constitution and make your own laws. And that, I mean, we'll have to do that because with a land claim coming down, we've got a big land base coming, we're going to have to show how we're going to control that land base. If we don't do that, the government will step in and say, you got to do it this way. So that kind of thing we have to stop. And I don't think we shouldn't be afraid of Constitution because this is done, every democratic country has a constitution. And when they have constitutions, it's just a way that they say they're going to live and govern themselves. And that's what this Constitution is going to be about. It's not going to be about chief and council. It's going to be about the people making laws, passing them, and saying this is how we're going to do our self-governance in our community. And I'm running out of time, but I wish I could go on, but I always get rambled on. And I'm not the best speaker there is, but I try my best. With that, I'd say thank you. Whoa, it's a long one.
It's a long one. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Okay, his question is, in August of this year, a political accord was signed between the Chiefs and Assembly and the Government of Ontario. In your opinion, do you believe that this agreement will improve our government relations? Please explain.
Okay. That's a good question. I'm glad I got this one because our chief sent us to that political accord that was held. I didn't go to the original political accord signing, but the Superior Chief, the Union of Ontario Indians had a meeting in Thunder Bay to deal with the ministers came down and talked with it. Provincially, I think this is a good move because this is a provincial government that's coming down and talking to people. They're listening to Indian people, our people, and they're willing to work and talk with our chiefs and councils and to do some work with the communities, especially in education and health. I think they're quite receptive of what they heard, and they were quite pleased with what the chiefs were demanding and hoping to see from that outcome. And I don't know what's going to happen federally because federal government is stubborn as hell. They still are, and as you know, the provincial government trying to deal with them. They just said Harper and Wynne don't get along together, so it's a big hassle that federally we're going to have to fight them a little more and try and convince them that they got to listen to Native people in Canada. But I think with the federal elections coming along, I think it's a good possibility that happen. Getting rid of Harper, who doesn't want Indian at all. He'd kill them if he had the chance to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. The next up is Herb Nabigan.
Wojo Kinawaya, Miigwech, for your time this evening. Wojo, I want to introduce myself in the Anishinaabe way. Wojo, Mungis Indigenous Kaz, Mangdo Dame, Ubik Tugung Dunjaba. There is a lot happening right now in Indian country. Probably the main important thing is the Chinook Nagewan, the big law that we talk about. And what I like about that big law is that the elders talk about the importance of those 7 teachings that's framed in that Constitution. If you read it carefully, you start to extrapolate the teachings around love, the teachings around wisdom, the teachings around humility, the teachings around truth speaking, the teachings around the powers of the clans. It's all there. Our clan system is the glue that holds us together. And over the years, we walked away from our clan system, and we're trying to restore it in our own humble way these days. And there's some strategies that the chief and council will talk about after the election on the 26th. I'm hoping it'll be passed, because if we don't pass it, then the alternative is we put our trust back in Indian affairs and the Indian Act. And if we do that, we're taking about 20 steps backwards, and we're not doing a favor to our children and their children. We need to look forward, as they say. And I love this community. I'm a Pick River band member for the last 50 years. I was born next to Reserve. I was born in Mulbert, and I trapped and hunted and played hockey with a lot of my colleagues from here, my peers, I should say. Roy Mishani used to tell me he was a real good hockey player. I kind of believed that until one day I remembered how we used to play, and I used to skate away from him all the time. So I questioned that today, and I like his spirit. That's the same thing. He has a real good spirit and a strong spirit. And contrary to a lot of things that are happening, I think we need to take a real serious look at, as Art said, focus on drugs and alcohol and violence. Lateral violence. Okay. So I was told to wrap it up. I guess I will. But I say, Chimigwech, and I want to thank my sister for nominating for me from the council. She nominated me last time, and this is her second time for nominating me. I really appreciate my sister, and I love her. Miigwech. I pick an easy question.
Okay, your question is, communication is key. What is your preferred method of communicating with council, support staff, and community members?
I think that's a real appropriate question, especially when it comes to our effort to try and get a yes vote for the Constitution. We started with, at least I started in some of my own clumsy ways. I just started to speak to people. And then as we progressed along, Erin and her community and her colleagues, I should say, at Lands and Resources, suggested we should have family meetings, which is really powerful way of communicating with our people. Because our people respond to informality. They don't like all this formality. So we talk at that level. We talk about the importance of the Constitution and what it could do for our people, and some of the positive things around self-government. And I liked what Elmer said the last time he was here. He talked about himself being a sovereign person. And it was Chief Toussaint that talked to him about sovereignty, being a sovereign person. And I remember Toussaint, when he was a chief here, many years ago, and he behaved like a sovereign person. He never said that to me, but his behavior certainly indicated that. And all those old-time leaders, there was Duncan, his dad, who worked here, Dunk Sr., Toussaint, and a few other men that were here. So there was a lot of leadership that was displayed in those days. And certainly my uncle Camille was also one of the leaders in this community. So we have all these role models in our past that the current leadership can pick up on. Miigwech, thank you.
Thank you, Herb. Next up to present their platform is Stanley Starr.
Bonjour, my name is Stan Starr. I've been a community member here for the past 34 years. I grew up just down the road. I currently live in Marathon. I've lived in Marathon for the last 7 years. I have 3 young kids, and I feel it's important to step into council now, as most of our councillors here are old, and not old, but have been in the seats for 30 years, you know. I'm not saying it's time to move on, but it's time to, time for our younger generations to step in and say, we're going to take over. It's our time to start. But we also need that guidance, that leadership. And I've always been, how would you say, overwhelmed but the act of council, chief and council, you know, the way they present themselves is, you know, that's the way I want to see myself. You know, I've always looked up to Art, Roy, Dunk, you know, they've always been chief and council all my life. And as a counselor, I mean, that's who I want to be, these leaders. And I think it's our time to step up and, you know, be those leaders. Thank you.
Okay, your question is, what is your opinion of social networking on a political level versus a personal level?
Okay, my opinion on social networking and political level versus personal level. What people say and do in their life, that's what they do. Their opinions are their opinions. Politically, you have to be mindful. You know, what I say and do in my personal life is my business. How I react, what I post on Facebook, the videos I share. A lot of them are funny. Some may offend people, but that's the way it is. You know, you're not always going to get a happy opinion all the time. That's conflict. That's what we're here for. All these people in this room tonight are here for this. You know, to hear people's opinion, no matter what it is, how little, how big. We're here, but we're not here to judge people over it. I mean, how does that saying go? Take it with a gentle stride or whatever. It's, I don't know, it's life. How you do it, it's hard to explain. It's hard to say. But politically, I don't know. Political and like social networking is how are you going to vote? You know, I don't vote at all. Federally, well, I vote for chief and council, but federally, I just don't like anything the conservatives, liberals, or NDP like, so I don't vote. That's your opinion to vote too. You know, it's your opinion to do whatever you want to do. You cannot vote on the 26th. That's fine. I'm not going to hate you for it. Anyways. Well done.
Thank you, Stan. Next up, we have Tony Hansen.
I got to blame you, Iona. Good evening, everybody. You all know me. I'm Tony Hansen. My mother's Catherine Machado from the community, the last of that family. I've born and raised. I spent a lot of my childhood days in this community, and then we left and went on to Pickle Lake, Thunder Bay. And in 2002, I left the OPP to come back to work for this community as well as Pick Mobard with the Inishbik Police. I left for a few years and came back in 2010, and now I'm here permanent. Like Melissa and the young lad here, I live in Marathon, so I live off the community, but I spend all my working hours here in the community. I talk to Donkey lots, I talk to a lot of the councils and community members. I spend a lot of time with the youth in both communities and try to get involved in as much community stuff as I can. I'd like to thank, I believe it was Herb that nominated me, I'm not sure who, but I'd like to thank the person that nominated me for council. I look forward to joining the team and helping out whatever way I can. I like to be involved, and I got nothing but time on my hands. And that's pretty much it. I'll wing it.
Okay, your question is, land-based activities have become a priority of many departments. What is your opinion in allocating funds to support these programs, and how would you support these initiatives?
Land-based activities, good question. That'll be something new to me, but you got to allocate your funds to to the proper, whatever the land-based activities is, whether it's, I know I sat in a committee looking at possibly changing the powwow grounds, or looking at, you know, doing different stuff out there. I'd say you allocate the money to the place that needs it the most, but you talk about it amongst the community members, and don't only as chief and council sit and decide, make the decision for the community itself. Talk to the community members, get their feeling on where the money should go, then put it in the right place. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Next up is John Twants.
Hello. Hello, bonjour. First off, I'd like to thank those who nominated and seconded me there for this upcoming election. I had an opportunity to be on council there in the last term there, but I had to decline my position about halfway through due to a conflict of interest. I bring, like, for the extent of experience, I bring that, but also I've worked in my past profession has required me to have a lot of responsibility and not to be afraid of that responsibility in terms like with the MNR being in charge of human life, working as a crew leader. Now working with the mining industry, I got a similar job where, yes, if you do the wrong move, you could hurt people really quick. So yeah, I've never been afraid of responsibility. I got the education. And also, I have a voice. I have a very honest and fair, like anybody who, like the votes that I got a couple of years ago, those were genuine votes, and I appreciate those votes. But also with that, they're like, it's always good to have a voice and to have that for your whole community, making sure that there's that accountability, that transparency. One thing I wanted to, this clipping that I got, this was a number of months back there from the Whitecap Dakota First Nation. It's Chief Darcy Bear. Yes, they've developed, like, it comes down to our youth. That's who's going to be here after these generations are gone. We want to make sure that this community is intact, that it's going to be something that our future generations could look after, and they have the education to look after that. But like in regards to education, our Fraser Institute, the lack of education standards, our education standards have improved considerably in the recent years. But what this community is called the Whitecap Dakota First Nation in Saskatchewan, they created a joint governance committee, and so with that, all the teachers were part of that Saskatchewan Teachers Federation. Here, I think ours would probably be quite similar. But with that, he said the standards have increased graduation rates, created an exceptional education system with this Whitecap Dakota First Nation. And also to stimulate economic growth, Chief Bear knew to get his community out from that archaic Indian Act. And that's what we're doing with this new constitution. We got to get out from that archaic Indian Act. Because the Indian Act was not created to enable First Nation communities to be a part of the economy. It was created to segregate us from society, to keep us out of sight and out of mind. And that's not going to happen anymore. That's where we need this combination of young people, middle-aged people like myself, and our elders to be running for council. So when it comes to that, yes, I appreciate and I hope to have that honest vote there election time. Miigwech.
Okay, your question is, reports are calling for a recession in our economy. As a political leader, what would your focus or strategy be for Pick River to support its members in the event of an economic recession?
Okay, in the event of an economic recession, I think our First Nation should invite private investors, like to open their books. And again, going back to that Whitecap Dakota First Nation, they started opening their books to private investment long before the Transparency Act came into effect. And with that, he reduced the unemployment rate on this reserve, which was like at 1.85%, down to 5%. So this guy was going in the right direction. His name is Chief Darcy Bear. So following that example, and again, the community membership has approximately 674 community members, which is pretty similar to Pick River. So to stimulate economic growth, again, we got to get out of that Indian Act, because if you have, there's where you could go, rather than this land committee, rather than your private property, it could be more, you'd have more economic opportunities than the rest of the country. Because right now we're stuck in that archaic Indian Act with our property laws and such. So he got out of that, and it provided more, it stimulated more economic growth. So with that, there is a lot out there for our communities, and again, it's for our children, and teaching and educating our children. Okay, and there's a lot of opportunities for First Nations people. We have the abilities, and we need a voice, and a fair, honest voice, to speak out for those opportunities, and not to be afraid to speak out. Like, miigwech.
Thank you, John. Next up to deliver their platform is Sharon Osberg.
Hello, I'm Sharon Osberg, and first of all, I guess I'd like to thank the community members who nominated me. I think they were Des Moulins, and hopefully I get the support that I had in the past years. What I bring to you is a large number of years, about 15 years on council here in the past. However, due to my employment, I was basically told that you could be a councillor or you could be a director. Well, the council didn't want to pay me, so I took the job. Now that I am retired, I have time on my hands, and all kinds of time. I hope that someday I will be back to the community. So with me, you get exactly what you see, somebody who is honest, straightforward, will speak up, and most importantly, will listen to any of the concerns that you have. I am in support of the Constitution. I think it's a long time coming. We've talked about that in the 80s when I was in the council, and I'm sure glad to see it come. And hopefully, when you get out and vote on the 26th, you put your mark by the X, because that's just the start of where we could go. Pick River is a very vibrant community, and Beektagon will even be more of a much better one once that is established, because we have to get the youth involved. The laws are not there, but we have a lot of policy that's already been started, and at least there's some groundwork laying. There's some work that has to be done. There's a lot of work that has to be done, and I think that throughout the coming years, we will expect to see some of those things come to fruition. It's not going to be me. I mean, I'm probably going to be dead or senile by then, and half of the people that are on the council will also. So we need to ensure that we get involved, get the youth involved. Whether it's going over to that school and starting with the grade 7s and 8s and say, we're going to select a youth advisory council. And maybe a councillor could be the leader of that group and get them involved from them with grade 9s, etc. And spend some time showing them what it is to run your community, because it's really important that we start now before it's too late. And while we do have a lot of elders around that have the knowledge, those are soon to be going, so we need to start educating our young people. And so I'd like to thank you once again for your nomination, and hopefully I'll ask for a hard question. Everybody else is okay, right? And I'll get an easy one.
Okay, your question is, leadership is an integral part of shaping a community's future. Ideally, how do you envision Pick River in 10 years, and what will you do to contribute to that vision?
Well, in 10 years, I hope I'm still around, and I would like to be able to say that I've helped shape the community to where it is. I think this Constitution is really, really the key, and in involving the youth and the elders as well. But I think that if we don't get that, and I think somebody had said, we're just putting 5 or 6 steps backwards. So we are always been a progressive, community. We've got a number of self-employment opportunities, a number of economic development stuff that's happening, businesses that's been established, and revenue that's coming in. So we really don't need to depend on federal funding. The accord signed in the provincial with the province, I think that it's great to have something signed, but I'd like to see some action, and I think the future councils and chief and council within those communities are the ones that's going to have to be able to do a lot of work in order to get the province to put their money where their mouth is. So hopefully with that, we'll see that in 10 years, and we'll get a piece of that pie.
Thank you, Sharon. Next up is David Kershane.
No text? Oh, wait, I got a text here first. Okay, bonjour. Shishubiga tuk kijak and indigenous cause kanun don team. I'm going to get you tanin, big tegang, dunji ba. Good evening, my relatives. One of the first things I want to say is, I want to say thank you. I want to say miigwech to the people that have supported me in the past and the people that have accepted me in the community. This is a community that I have grown proud to call home. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of traveling across the country and sitting with many different elders and political people. And I always look at Pick River and see where Pick River's at. And I'm so proud of where Pick River is at, because I look at the chief and council and the way they do things. And I listen to stories of how other communities administer. And Pick River, I think is in a really good position. And it has had really good leadership in the past. I want to acknowledge our past leaders within the community, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here where we're at today. Pick River, Big Degong has what they have is a strategic plan and a vision and where they want to be in the future. Where we've had meetings and we've had people's input on where they want to go. And it is always about the young people. You've heard it tonight. That we're always speaking about the young people. They are our future. This is one of the reasons why I've decided to leave my name and contribute whatever I can you know, as I sit on council. You know, I look at council, and I want to thank the current chief and council that I've been able to serve with. You know, the older guys that have really taught me. They have taught me so much, and I've learned so much, you know, sitting there in these past few terms. I want to acknowledge them and thank them for that. You know, and I ask for your support in the future, because I want to continue to learn, and I want to continue to give back to the community, this community that I now call home. I heard somebody make reference to how they love this community. I love this community too. And how I've come to love this community, you know, was I met a woman. I fell in love with the woman. I fell in love with the community. You know, so I've got 30 seconds left. You know, so with that, you know, I just want to, you know, thank the people that have nominated and seconded me. And I ask for your support, you know, in the upcoming election. And I want to wish all the other candidates good luck. You know, wish you all the best. Miigwech.
Okay, your question is, it's often said that our youth are our future. What impact can council have on children and youth when it comes to education?
I think, you know, working with young people, and I was reluctant to use young people, especially with politics. I don't want to use them to gain any kind of popularity or anything like that. But, you know, as sitting on council or not, I will always choose, and that is always one of my passions, is to work with our young people, you know. And I look at where Pick River is going with our young people, and they're talking about education, you know, is key. You know, what we're doing with our education, you know, we're creating our own curriculums. You know, we want this new school, and we want the best for our young people, because our young people deserve the best. And this is what we're going to give them, or we're going to try our best to give them, you know, to be able to succeed. You know, so they will grow up strong, and they will be proud of who they are. Because again, you know, they are the leaders of tomorrow. They are the future. You know, when we're done here, they will take over. You know, so I think any initiative with regards to our young people, you know, we have to give it everything that we got to support them. You know, I've always heard, you know, our grandmother say and concerned that our young people, there is so much danger out there. There is so much that can harm our young people today. You know, we have to protect them, and we have to provide them the tools to be able to overcome those challenges that they face today. You know, a big thing I think is pride, you know, identity. They have to know and they have to understand who they are and where they come from. They have to be able to stand there and say, I am from Bigitigong, and I am proud of being from Bigitigong. You know, to feel good about themselves. So with that, you got 1:59. 1 second is fair.
Thank you, David. Next up to present his platform is Stan Nabigan.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Stan Nabigan. I've been here most of my life, living on the reserve. Like they say that I'm a true family man. I've raised 2 kids, and now I have 3 grandchildren who I'm very proud of. The reason I come to council is because of my previous background. I spent 34 years as a volunteer on the fire department. I've also done college and graduated as a force technician. That was way back in 1985, though, so it's been a long time since I've been out of school. And I've also sat on a few on a few boards. One namely is the Ontario Native Firefighter Society, which I sat on that board of directors for 15 years. And one of the biggest accomplishments that we did was recognizing the political boundaries between the federal, the municipal, and the reserve. So basically, the barrier that we finally knocked down was basically took us about 11 years to do it, but is recognizing training and stuff like that. So if I was on taking the same training as the people from the provincial government, they wouldn't recognize it when I came and trained on reserve, and then my guys wouldn't be trained recognized on reserve. So I'd just like to say that I'd like to bring some of that experience to council. I have sat on council quite a while back, quite a number of years ago, and I've only did one term, so I got a little tiny bit of experience in council. So, and in all honesty, I really wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to run for council, and up until a few days ago, which is why I don't really have a platform, but I see, I listen to what's going on, and I see, like what our current council is doing with the new what do you call that? Constitution, yeah. And then, as a council member, I would definitely be continuing to support that. There's all the other stuff that goes along with it, like our education, our health, and stuff like that. And I even see a few little places where we can improve on our infrastructure. One of them being, this really bothers me, and every night when I decide that I want to go for a ride down here, that I can't believe how dark it is out there, and I just think about the safety of our kids. And I think, within the last couple of years, there have already been a few minor accidents, and not to mention how many near misses that I've kind of avoided over the years. So, I think, over the next couple of days, I will be presenting my platform. I'll let the people know what I stand for and what I support. So with that, miigwech.
Okay, your question is, the consultation and accommodation law is the first law of its kind to be pushing on a provincial and federal level as a way of asserting Aboriginal title over our traditional lands. What other laws would you like to see in the future for Pick River?
Not really sure how to answer that one. What are can I just read the thing over again? Well, I think for the most part, as far as laws go, we have the laws that are already in place. One of the biggest ones that I always see people over social media lately is our crazy dog law, and we never seem to get enough of satisfaction about what we can do about our laws. I know we tried it. It's been tried over and over, and I don't even know if there's a bylaw that addresses dogs running at large. But that's probably one of them. Another law that I would see, and it has to do with our youth, and I hope I don't offend anybody when I say this, but I just think seeing 10, 12-year-old kids running around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, maybe there should be some kind of law that governs kids as to when they can or how long they can stay out. Something like that, something along those lines. And I'm sure there's a whole big bunch of other laws that other people might want to consider, but those are two. Miigwech.
Thank you, Stan. We had a late arrival, so Roy, did you want to do your platform? You have 3 minutes, Roy.
3 minutes,
3 minutes, and then you can do a question.
Okay. Well, good evening. How are you going, Dunk? Glad you got the acclamation. That was wonderful by those that were nominated. I was watching the Blue Jays kick ass, and I got a call, you better get down to the hall, otherwise you're going to miss something. Anyways, why? Well, I think I put half of my life with the First Nation, and I was so fortunate to work with 5 of my colleagues that were there with me for those many years. And also I got involved with the LRS, the Union of Ontarians, and clearly I strongly feel that it is time that we take full command of whatever is left there. I did a letter to the Union of Ontarians about this corridor that runs from Wawa to Thunder Bay. And I hope that our area councils would jump at that quickly, because the same thing has happened down in Robinson-Huron area. And it seems that they aren't interested in doing that because they're not in the midst of the kind of resources that we have from Wawa to Thunder Bay. And I know it's hard to get the chief and councils together because they seem to like to fight each other. But this one, when it does become our exclusive property within our confined sole area, within our position of our land claim, I think we are running out of money with the energy program. And I think that project, yes, will have to be split amongst the area First Nations, and that will be then something that both the province and Ontario and Canada will have to agree with. And I think that's going to be a mean, hard battle with the governments, including Chiefs of Ontario and Union of Ontarians. But as it has always been, we have been very powerful in doing what has to happen. And I believe that is one area that I would definitely ask the community to help us with, because that's the only way we can see the money that we're going to lose by the province in Canada.
Okay, your question is, what is the Bigithagon Chinaakinagay win, And do you support the founding principles of this document?
Yes, I do. However, I think we were a little bit late in putting that on for a community to hear. Example, going to the high school and allowing the students to hear about it. But prior to that being documented, I worked with 39 of our chiefs for about, must have been about 10 years, putting in what we thought should be in it. And once it was done, it was sent home to communities to put in people to begin dialoguing on it. And very clearly, technicians were one of those that was hopefully put on that. So it would then begin probably a 3-year advance notice to community members about what is Chinaknagewan. Definitely, that's why I mentioned this transmission corridor. It's so important that belongs to us, and it's within the prescribed area of our exclusive use of our land claim. And whether the other First Nations support that, I think clearly they will know that that is the most important thing to help replace some of the money that we're going to lose from the province and from Canada. You say more?
15 seconds.
Right? That's it? Yeah.
And last up for her platform is Cynthia Fisher.
These are my crafts, not campaign buttons.
So you get 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
For a platform and then 2 minutes for questions.
Who gives me the signal for 3 minutes?
Anytime you go. Oh, and then we'll give you 30 seconds when you got 30
Oh, okay. Al Bojo, Ani. Niwan non de kwe Dishnikaz, Big Tagang Dunjba. My Christian name is Cindy Fisher. There's so much that I want to say. You all know who I am. You all know what I stand for. I am not Canadian, and I will never be Canadian. That is the core of who I am. We've had many conversations, and today, again, talking, I thought about Pierre Trudeau and how Pierre Trudeau challenged all Anishinaabe people across Canada, telling them that when you can come to me speaking your language, when you can come to me saying who you are as a nation, then I will respect you as a nation. And each one of us need to ask ourselves, what makes us a nation? Okay? We have the Constitution coming up. And I really hope the Constitution passes, because sometimes there are things that we need to do, and we may not know if it'll work. We won't know if it'll work until it passes and gets tested. My big test, and I know a lot of people disagree with it, is that once the Constitution passes, let's legalize marijuana. That's going to be a tremendous big test. Because the whole purpose of it, the Constitution, is to pass law, right? And let's see how real Canada is in respecting our laws. Because Canada most certainly does not respect our children. Our children, the minute they're born, are born at a severe disadvantage, no matter what we provide for them. I was asked why I didn't run for chief the last time. And I said the people spoke loud and clear as to who they wanted for their leader. And then I was told we have to remember that Chief Roy had just lost his wife. And every time something is said to you, or at least said to me, and if it hits here, then I know there's something for me to look at. And if that is the way the people choose to vote for a leader because out of sympathy or because of what they believe in, then I am not the person to provide that leadership. I refuse to provide leadership that is going to enable people. I refuse to provide leadership, and I won't ever change that. Retiring has most certainly given me a different perspective on Pick River First Nation. And the Pick River First Nation that I seen while I was working was not the same Pick River First Nation that I seen when I retired. It is a totally different place. So, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's... And I got your question. Who did these questions?
It was a variation of community member staff.
I most certainly hope...
I need to read it.
Oh, I most certainly hope it's not those questions that they gave us from Lands and Resources. That there were 3 things that each one of us should know as First Nation members. And there weren't very many people who knew the answers regarding the lands. Okay?
Okay. Your question is, please explain what you will do to ensure that all voices on and off the reserve are heard at the council table.
That's not up to me to ensure. That's up to you to ensure. Because the people that you elect into council, you elect those people into council to be your voice at council table. We have to remember that as members of council, including the chief and all of the council members, have no power. It's only when they come together as one unit, that is when there is power. So you have to make your thoughts known to whoever you elect. That's not up to me to make sure your voice is heard. If you elect me, then I will do my best. But that's up to you to make sure the people that you have at that table will make your voices heard. Good? No?
If that's what you think,
Oh,
it's enough.
okay. Any other questions?
That's
Sorry.
good. Thank you, Cynthia. Before we go into the second questions phase, we're going to have a few words from Chief Duncan Michano. As most of you know, he is acclaimed, so he will be representing us for the next 2 years, and he would like to say a few words tonight.
Now, see if I can adjust this thing. Esther was telling me, you can tell John is a musician. He knows how to adjust that thing. Anyways, I got to apologize to everyone for being late. I was stuck all day in a goddamn school bus. What the hell was I doing in a school bus? I don't know, trying to learn stuff. We were out doing a field trip in regards to mine reclamation, and it was a pretty learning experience, really. And I actually going to suggest our lands and resources people go to those in the future. Anyways, I just want to thank everybody for all the support they've given me over the last 26 years, I guess, since I started in council. It's been a damn good journey, really. Sometimes there's highs and there's lows. Roy knows that. Art knows that. Arnold knows that. All the guys that have been there for a while know there's good times and there's bad times. Tough times and again, good times. But I want to thank everybody for giving me that opportunity. Sharon is there. She's gone through that. One of the jobs, I think, of chief, and I think this is an important part of the job, is not only just the community and dealing with the community, I think it's dealing with those politicians on the outside. I think that's one of the most important damn things we have to do. And I think Roy probably saw this in the past. Dealing with politicians at the municipal level, dealing with politicians at the provincial level, dealing with politicians at the federal level. We got another visitor. He's late. But also dealing with other chiefs at the UOI and the AFN. And to tell you the truth, I think that's the toughest damn job. Is trying to deal with other chiefs. There's a federal election in October 19th. We have to ensure that the Conservative Party and Stephen Harper are not elected again, because they've done so much damage to the relationship between the federal government, which was not good to start with, and the Anishinaabe people and the First Nations people right across this country. We have to make sure they get dumped. And one of the things that are happening nationally is that organizations like the AFN and UOI and NAN are trying to make sure their people get out to vote. Make sure you get out to vote in the federal election, because your vote counts in trying to get rid of Stephen Harper. And if Stephen Harper gets in again, if you don't go and vote and Stephen Harper gets in again, you got nobody to blame but yourself. Don't go and cry to your chief that damn Stephen Harper got in again, and he's going to destroy us. Get out there and vote. Stephen Harper has created a Fair Elections Act to make it harder for people who have very little ID to get out and vote. So make sure that you get your ID in order. It's not hard. We'll be sending out some material to make sure that you understand what kind of ID you need to vote in the federal election. I have a paper here that I've sent to all the federal candidates in our riding, indicating what our issues are specifically here in Pic River, and what our issues are nationally. And when they come down here on September 22nd, I believe, and they're in the Legion, I believe, or Moose Hall, taking questions, I hope each and every one of you are there, and we're going to ask them questions about these things, and we'll see how they answer. And just before the federal election in October, maybe a week or so before, I'll make a recommendation. You can vote any damn way you want. That's your right. But I'll make a recommendation on who to vote for based on who I think, which party I think has a chance, number one, has a chance to dump Harper, and number two, who has the best First Nations platform. So try to get out. And like I said, try to get out and vote. Exercise your right. You may not like voting in Canadian elections or Ontario elections, but I think it's important to make damn sure that the right party is in there, because we have to deal with them one way or another. With that, I say, miigwech, thank you, and you know, people of Pick River are damn smart and they're damn good people and hardworking people, and thank you. Bye-bye.
Miigwech, and thank you, Duncan, for those words. So we're going to do one last round of questions. There's only a few people here. If you don't want to do a second question, you're by all means, you don't have to. But it's good to kind of get more variety in terms of what you think and feel and opinions. Again, we're just going to pick randomly through the list here. And again, it's 2 minutes for your question. And the first one up is Tony Hansen.
I'll wing it again. Can't be the same question.
No, well, we have 47 questions. So. Yeah.
There you go. Get it out of the way. Right, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, Tony, your question is, what are your views and opinion on overlapping territories issue, and what can Pick River do to build relationships with surrounding First Nations?
Good question. As you know, we do overlap with our fellow people down the way, and I know that for a fact, being a police officer in a position I'm in. I think what we can do to build relationships better with First Nations is we're all one and the same. I mean, we all, you know, we all know who we are. We all have Aboriginal blood, or whether we're part or fully 100%, and we're all the same. You know, you don't treat anybody different. You don't, as I always say, you're not racist. You just hate everybody equally. Well, don't hate people. Join with the people. Talk to the First Nations around us, whether it's Lake Helen, Ganoogaming, Fort William, Pick Mobert, Pick River. Let's get those relationships back. Let's talk to them. Let's work together, and let's build a better future for not only the people here now, but as everybody said, for our young people. Let's build it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Next up is Sharon Osberg. Your question is, in your opinion, how will Pick River First Nation attain self-government?
My opinion? Well, I think that the first step is on September 26th, you must put yes on that Constitution agreement. Once that happens, the other concept is we need to be able to establish a very active working committee in order to start implementing the laws. And I like Cindy's idea of, you know, legalizing marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana, but I mean, it would be a great test, you know? So, I mean, even like that, there are so many different things that we need to move forward on. And I think we need to have a strong committee that's dedicated, that's committed, and that need to incorporate the demographics of this community, being the youth and the elders, et cetera. Those that have worked already on the Constitution framework have done, you know, an exceptional job. But we also need to incorporate youth, and communication, consultation to whatever we're going to be is going to be key. And once we have those laws established, educating our surrounding neighbors, non-native communities, et cetera, of what those are, and being proud and saying, this is our law. This is the way we are going to govern ourselves. So up until that time, I mean, it's been a long time. I've been counselor for 15 years from the 80s, and we've been talking, and I think now it's time to start acting. And so enough talk. Let's go there and do it.
Thank you, Sharon. Next up, we have Cynthia Fisher.
I wanted Sharon's question.
Okay, your question is, technology is ever evolving in society. What steps can council implement to keep up with technology, and what role do you see technology playing in our community's future?
Oh boy, big time. Okay, first of all, one of the things I want to say why I wanted Sharon's question was self-governance begins at home. That's where it begins. So that's one of the things I want to say. Technology, not necessarily our education system, but the education system in general, like right across, is failing our kids big time because of technology. Every one of our kids, no matter what size, are already working with technology. I was listening to CBC, my most favorite show, station rather, and they talked about, there was this guy who was a teacher who was technology, like he worked with computers, He developed a curriculum, and it used technology, and the kids actually performed heart surgery on that game. As a result of working and doing, because everybody plays Operation, you know. So, but these kids were actually performing open heart surgery. And as a result of that, by doing that, they were learning the different veins. They were learning the different parts of the heart. They were learning all of these different things. So I think if we don't embrace that, if we don't work with that, we are going to be at a severe disadvantage. So there's a lot of things that, yes, we need to come up to par and embrace technology. It's amazing the things that happen, and I don't know how much goes into that, but I don't know how many of us have seen Juanita's, what's that thing called where it shows the PowerPoint with the land when the land claim was signed. Alienation. Okay? When the land claim was signed, and she puts it out really good. Here's the area, here's how much industry was there. And then you go on a few more years, and you see how much industry is there. You go a few more years, you see how much more, and then how much we are been overtaken by that. Those are the kinds of things that we as individual First Nation members must be aware of. We have to make sure our children are aware of that. There's so much that we could do as far as technology goes. It has to be guarded and used properly. One of the biggest complaints that I hear from not only my grandchildren, but other kids was that I don't understand it why I am told I have to put my iPhone away in school. Well, of course, you're not supposed to have it out anyway. But they get it taken away from there, and a few minutes later, it's being used by the teachers. So it's got to be fair. We have to watch what we teach our kids, but we also have to make sure that they have access to it. Miigwech. Good enough?
Thank you, Cynthia. Next up, we have Stan Nabigan. Okay, your question is, the ability to make decisions is an important task of council. Can you describe your decision-making process?
Well, one of the biggest things that I would probably do is gather facts, information, have consultation with my chief and council. And if that wasn't enough, and then we'd probably have, I would probably suggest that we bring the question out to maybe the community members and try and resolve it through that method. How's that? That's good. Yep.
Thank you, Stan. Next up, we have Roy Michano. Okay, your question is, what will be your role in the day-to-day management of Pick River First Nation?
Well, I guess the importance of portfolio establishment at the council table would be important. And if assigned to a portfolio, I would do my darnest to work with that unit, not to bore them to death, but to get a clear understanding that their program is running safely, it's not being taking too much budget out of the system, and that I would bring concerns that are expressed to our council and then follow it up with clarification that our program in that portfolio is running in a very good process.
Thank you, Roy. Next up, we have Herb Nabigan. Your question is, if elected to council, what portfolio piques your interest, and then please explain why.
Well, there are several portfolios that would pique my interest. One would be education. The other would be if a portfolio was created around Chinook-Nagawan, I'd be very interested in working on that. There's a lot of work to be done in that area. Also in education. Education is, as was said earlier, is a key to our future for our young people and for peers. Anybody that's interested is a key. That's a key for your future. I myself graduated with a master's degree from Carleton University in Ottawa. And I worked really hard to get that degree, and it wasn't easy. But from that degree, I was able to travel all over the world and work. I did some work in, for example, in Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Ireland, and Scotland. I did some traveling in those areas, and I met lots of Native people, did some work with them, and currently in my book, The Hollow Tree is being translated into Spanish now in Argentina at Cordova University. There's a university there that Native people really wanted to read that book, but they couldn't because they don't speak English. And I only speak English. I don't speak any Spanish. I speak some Ojibwe, but obviously that would be very alien and foreign to them. So there is communication is a big plus around education. You know, there's education that we all need to put forward, not only to ourselves, but to the outside world. And those Native people in Argentina, their lives were being destroyed by a Canadian mining company. And they were very distressed about the whole thing. Their land was being destroyed, open pit mining and all those other horror stories that goes with that. And they wanted to know our specific experience with mining. So I told them that in Canada, the mining in many ways had provided us with some opportunity for work and for going back to school, learn some engineering and what have you, and working with explosives. So there was some benefit, but on the long term, the damage it does to the earth is beyond repair in many ways. So in the long term, it's not good for our children, and it's not good for the earth, obviously. So there is some consequences for mining, obviously, and there's consequences for education. It depends how we use it, and it depends what the purpose of that education is. I know there's a lot of talk in our community right now about our new school and curriculum development and all those wonderful things. But also in education, you can't leave behind science, you can't leave behind geography, you can't leave behind logic, you can't leave behind mathematics. I know elders that speak of, especially out west, that speak about science in terms of the environment. They know science, indigenous science as they call it. It's really interesting, it's fascinating. It's a world that I was never exposed to until I was there. I know we can bring that kind of curriculum here and teach our people and our children the indigenous science that we all should know for the benefit of our future and for the protection of our mother, the earth. Miigwech.
Thank you, Herb. Okay, next up we have John Twans. Your question is, would you endorse mandatory drug testing amongst all band employees, both present and future, in order to support a healthy community initiative?
Absolutely. Because what it comes down to is, well, you see a lot of times when these new industries come into First Nations, there seems to be a really, really high turnover rate. Because of that, it's not only with First Nation communities, it's with like these, it just seems to happen, and it's been common that, okay, you might work, an individual might work a month, get their first couple of paychecks, then they quit. If you have mandatory drug testing to enable to obtain employment, well, that's something there that individual should strive, well, hey, I really need this job, so yeah, I'm going to have to get, it's like, it's in all fairness, just like everything there. So also, some of these jobs that we're getting into a stage of like technology, jobs require skill with your hands, eye coordination. You don't want anybody to jeopardize or put anybody in danger because they're high on something, you know? It's, but absolutely, I believe, same in making some critical judgment calls there in an administrative field, or it's everywhere. Like, you want to make sure that you have a clear sense. And yes, absolutely, I do believe that we should have mandatory drug testing.
Thank you, John. Next up, we have Art Fisher. Yes. Your question is, how important is accountability and confidentiality in regards to your position on council to you?
Well, that's an easy one. Well, I think accountability and confidentiality is very important in any organization, whether it's Pick River First Nation or City of Thunder Bay or what do you call Bell Mine, the mines. But you have to have these kind of policies in because you have to protect the people that you're working with. You can't go out and let's say you have a health problem, somebody comes in and do something, or somebody got reprimanded. You can't go out and start saying, hey, this guy got reprimanded and this thing happened. Start a big rumor out there. For those reasons, I think we should have confidentiality clauses in there for sure. And dealing with what do you call the transparency, that's very important also. And I think Pick River is pretty transparent the way they run their books and finances. We do auditing, and the audits are available to anybody who wants to see them. Their books like that. And I think maybe we could do a little session to present it to the people maybe somewhere, but I think that would be a big task to do because there'd be a lot of questions flying around for that for sure. But I think if the individual went in and looked at it and asked to see the books, they can go and look at it and see what's going on. And to be accountable, you want to do business with partners like industry. If you're not accountable, they're not going to deal with you. You know, if you're not accountable, nobody's going to look at you. So if you're accountable, you have policies in place, and companies come in there and they see that, hey, these guys are accountable, they know what they're doing, we'll do business with them. And I think that's one of the key factors in why Pick River succeeded all along is because they always had policies and procedures in place of their working place. And with that, I say with Chinaki again, we can turn these into laws. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Art. We're down to our last four candidates. So the next one up is Simon Desmoulins. Okay, your question is, we are seeing a push for members for transparency. What ways can you, as an elected member of council, promote transparency on a political level?
On a political level, I think we can promote transparency because we already have that in place. Our community members have access to our financial audits. We have been transparent in any of the decisions we've made at council level. We've consulted with community on important issues that matter to the community. That all forms a part of transparency. I'm a firm believer that in dealing with community, we have to treat you in the same way that we deal with outside proponents. We have to be transparent, we have to be accountable to you as our membership, and we have to provide you with the information that you seek to make informed choices. And I've seen that happen over the summer with the family meetings, the community consultation with community around our constitution. It's in place already. And as a council member, if people come to me and want information, I'm willing to share. And more importantly, if I don't have the answers, I'll go out and find it and get back to you. My door is always open. I've never had many people come to my door. I don't know if they're scared of my killer dog. But in terms of transparency, that's my belief. It's being accountable to you, answering questions honestly and openly, and then also being a voice for the people at the table. So, miigwech.
Thank you, Simone. Next up, we have Arnold Machano. Your question is, can you describe the importance of self-government and sovereignty to our First Nation?
Well, first of all, before I answer this question here, it's very comforting to hear all the candidates this evening that they're in for the Chiknok-Dagewin. They wanted the seed go through, and being part of the committee and expressing that message throughout the community, it's really working, and it's very good. And I want to thank all of you candidates for that. Now I'm going to give a stab at this question here. Can you describe the importance of self-government? I guess it's going to relate to the Chiknok-Dagewin again and the Constitution that the people and the steering committee that's working on. And it's important because we're going to be rolled by you people here. You're the people that are going to make the laws and the policies of Pick River First Nation. And that's the really, really important part. And whoever you vote for chief and council, they have to listen to the people, to the grassroots people, in order for that self-government to work and work in a good way. I think I answered it. Thank you.
Miigwech Arnold. Next up, we have Stanley Starr. Your question is, as you're aware, funding for current programs is limited. What are your ideas and our strategies you can offer to maintain fiscal responsibilities for these departments?
Well, when it comes to funding with reserve, I think everything is as a whole. Every department should be shared as an equal amount, I guess you can say, or at least a proper annuities should go to certain things. But I think as where money should be spent would be progressing through this constitution. I think it's a great idea. I think there should have been more time and I think there should have been more time allowed for people to understand what it truly means. And for ideas and strategies to be maintained should be for our constitution, our land claim, what we say and do in mining and logging and forestry. And our physical responsibility for all department is all accountability. You know, show the books. You know, it's everyone's concern, it's everyone's opinion. It's to be more open, you know, share, have bigger committees, make things posted, you know. Anyways.
Thank you, Stan. Next up, we have Melissa Desmolin. Your question is, what is your vision for the future of economic development in Pick River First Nation?
think possibilities are endless for economic development when you take a look at it. You know, there's been a lot of talk about how we can develop our land. Right now, we're talking about our land base, right? We talk about getting our land back. We're talking about our land claims. And I think once we get our land claims back, then we can start to doing some land-based development. And, you know, we talk about developing the lands at the mouth of the Pick. You know, they talk about developing campgrounds down there. We talk about, you know, more hydro, you know, I always have this big thing of having our own Tim Hortons on the side, you know, our own Anishinaabe Tim Hortons, our own gas bar right on the side. You know how Pace Plat has their First Nation, you know, right on Highway 17. How would it be if we had, you know, a toll bridge on Pick River, you know, right on a thing? You know, there's all kinds of ways that we can generate revenue. And I think if we have brainstorming ideas, there's tons of ways that our community can generate income. You know, because we're in the north right now, and sadly enough, our mines are going to be going down. And we have to start thinking of alternative ways that we can start generating money. And we can't always just rely on mining industry or forestry, but, you know, to depend on self-sufficiency. And we talk about the self-governancy and our new law. And if we're going to develop our new law, then how can we, as a First Nation, become self-sufficient? And so it's bringing our own resources and bringing our own ideas and gathering them. So I think the possibilities for these are endless. And I think, you know, the answers are all within ourselves. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Melissa. And last but certainly not least, considering she was so nervous about going first, is Deanna Starr. I get half an hour now. There's nothing left in there. Should be about 20 more left. Your question is, what are your strongest assets that would benefit Pick River if elected to council?
My strongest assets would be, to try and sum it up in 2 minutes, I am a very strong-willed, strong Anishinaabe woman. I am a mother, and everyone knows how strong of a person you have to be when you're a mother. I have a lot of great decision-making skills. I have a background in human resources, working with people. I had the opportunity to work with the health center and working one-on-one with a lot of people and seeing what their issues are, hearing what their issues are, and being able to help them as much as possible. I am Mary Machano's granddaughter. And sorry, but I was brought up to believe that to give it your all, to be strong, to help when you can. And I think that growing up, I was a member of youth council. I was a chief of youth council growing up, and really started that movement, really started with my peers to try and become those leaders, to try and become involved. And I think just being that helpful person, just wanting the best for our community, wanting the best, and continuing to support our employees that we have now. We have a great set of employees and people in Pick River, and our current leaders right now are doing an amazing job. And we wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for them. So I would continue to support that, continue to support our senior management and what they do, and that's it, I guess. Thank you. Vote Deanna Starr for council.
Miigwech Deanna. So that concludes our evening here. I'd like to say miigwech to all of the candidates that came out and offered their opinion, and I hope that the people that were watching back home and the people that came out, we actually got our crowd grew larger and larger as the evening went on, that you guys got a lot of information and you make an informed choice, so when you go to the polls on September 26th, that you know who you're going to be voting for. I've seen a lot of strong aspects in the leaders and the capabilities of the people that spoke tonight, and it definitely influenced my ability and my willingness to vote. Lastly, if you have your position papers, we only have 2 on the website right now. If you want to drop them by the lands office or even email me, Juanita@pickriver.com, and we can get those on the website for the off-reserve members as well. And thank you and good night.